So the origin of this word, HOCHIKIS, is it's named after a person named E.H. Hotchkiss, the owner of the E.H. Hotchkiss company, which made staplers long time ago.
Excuse me, Masen.
Welcome to another episode of the Excuse Me Masen podcast. I'm your host, Saul, and joining me today is Scoey.
Good evening, everybody.
Man, you look so much like Anthony Kiedis, bro.
Shut up, bro. I get that all the time. Scoey Ketis, man.
Today's episode is part 2 of Japanese English terms and what they actually mean. So by Japanese English, I mean English words that Japanese use, but they're using it differently from the way that we do. Let's just get straight into it then. So the first word we have is PASOKON and
PASOKON.
NOHTO PASOKON. This one is more a contraction than an actual Japanese English word. So Japanese, we talked about in the last episode that Japanese like to take long words and make them really short. And this is one of those examples. It means, of course, PASOKON, personal computer, so personal computer. And then NOHTO PASOKON is notebook personal computer, so a laptop basically. And the origin that I was able to find for this was pretty obvious. Like I didn't even have to research. I was like, duh. Especially if you've been here for a long time. The first time I heard this one was from my wife when she was like, "Pasokon tsukatte mo ii?" And I was like, what's that? Pasokon. Pasokon. What's a Pasokon?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, are you talking about like some kind of like a video game system or something? Pasokon.
Yep.
PC. It's like
PC. PC.
PC. You mean personal computer? She's like, yeah. And then that one's kind of boring because it's pretty simple once you get it. But like when we go into the next one, the next word is CONSENTO, or as we would say it, consent.
Consent, yeah.
Which of course to an American person, consent means like getting permission, right? But in Japan, it's exactly. It's pronounced consento, which means an electrical outlet where you plug in your stuff. Do you know where this one comes from? Because since you work for construction, you might.
Sorry, I would have to let you explain it, but I mean, as much as I've heard it here and there, I don't know the origin and all that. But please explain.
All right. So according to my research, this comes from the word concentric plug, because Japanese plugs before were not like the American ones that we have. Nowadays, the ones here in Japan are like the ones in the US minus the grounding plug. So it's just 2. But before it was like a circle split so that it's like 3 lines. So it had the 2 prongs and then the grounding, but in the shape of like basically like a circle that's been split up into 3 sections. And that was called a concentric plug. You have any you want to mention before I go to the next one?
I need your consent for me to be able to plug into the consent. No, but yeah.
But the next word is base up.
Base
up meaning, I mean, if I hear the word base up, I think of military base, and I have no idea why they say the word up next to it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea.
But then it means to get a pay raise. Yeah. And the origin, when they talk about base, they're talking about base pay. And then up is just like a random word they chose to represent that it's going to be increased. So you're increasing your base salary, your base up. This word I heard for the first time when I was actually working here in Tokyo. And then my boss was telling me that I was going to get a raise. And she was like, basically in Japanese, she was telling me like, hey, you've been doing really good for the past few months and I'm going to increase your pay. And she said it in Japanese saying base up. And I was like, base up.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. That's the term that they use. And then I just forgot about it. But then researching words for today's episode, it came up again. I was like, ooh, that's a good one.
I will pray from today that I would hear that word like tomorrow or the next. Scotty-san, base up. You know what I mean? I want to hear that word, man.
Can you do it in your boss's voice?
Scotty-san, face up. No, I'm just kidding. That's I don't even. How do I do his voice?
Because you always do that. Whoa, whoa.
Whoa, face up.
That's freaking funny.
No, but yeah.
And then every time your boss looks at you, he cannot avoid it. Just be like, oh, I think that's for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to food related stuff. So the first one we have is sauce.
Sauce.
So this one I
Sauce.
actually learned very recently, dude, like less than 1 year, like probably like 6 months ago. I've been here
No
so
way.
long. And the first time I
Really?
heard it was only a few months ago. So
No
sauce.
sheesh.
Yeah, so my wife was telling me like, can I have the sauce in Japanese? And I was like, what sauce?
Which
Like
one?
soy sauce? She was
Which
like,
one?
no, sauce. And I was like, hot sauce? No, sauce.
Yeah.
And then
Sauce.
yeah, it was just like sauce. And then she got pissed off and she came next to me and just like pointed at it. She's like, sauce. And then I was like, hey, how am I supposed to know that it has a name? The name is Tonkatsu sauce. Tonkatsu sauce. There's a name for it. So for people who don't know, tonkatsu sauce is the sauce that is for pork cutlets or cutlet meats. So I guess in America, what's the closest thing? Like something that's so standardized, you just use the
A1?
generic. Yeah, so if you say steak sauce, automatically everybody assumes it's A1 steak sauce, right?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
You put that on everything. And it tastes good on everything too.
Yeah, it's a bit sweet for me. So, I mean, I would only use it for pork cutlets. I would never use it on like fried chicken because
Okay.
I want my fried chicken with like, soy sauce or like,
Yeah.
make my
Spice.
own finadeni or something. But yeah.
Ooh, finadeni. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what sauce refers to in Japan.
But mind you, the way they explain it though, they don't say sauce. They go like sauce.
Yeah, the pronunciation is pretty different. Yeah. Okay, so the next word that we got is actually my favorite one because I teach this in my
Ooh.
school every time and the kids always freak out when I teach them this. The next one
Wow.
is fried potato.
Okay.
So if somebody tells you they want to eat fried potato, like the first thought I have is, okay, you're going to get a potato and you're going to fry it.
Fry.
Like a
Yeah.
baked potato, right? Baked potato is the whole thing. You just slice the middle, open it up, put in sour cream or onions or whatever you want to put in there, and that's your baked potato. If you say fried potato, I'm thinking it's the same thing, but they fried it. But
Yeah.
in Japan, of course, fried potato means what?
Fried potatoes are French fries.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to look up the origin for this, and it's just that it's potato and it's fried. So they called it fried potato. And then just for context, like in England or in the UK, French fries are called chips. And then chips are called crisps.
Oh. Okay.
Our potato chips to them are called crisps. When I first came here and I was trying to explain about why it's called French fries instead of fried potato, because I told them it's not fried potato, it's French fries. And they're like, why? Why is it called French fries? And the first time they asked me that, I was like, oh yeah, why? And then I researched it, and apparently it's
Yeah.
because the way that they cut it, it's like a French cut, and then it's fried. So they call it French fries.
Oh, okay. So the cut is French.
Yeah, I don't know what's so French about it, but
What did they do? Like,
as an American, if I tell you the word cooler, what comes to your mind?
ice box, ice chest, cooler. Bring the cooler with beer,
Yep. And then, as you know, in Japan, cooler refers to an air conditioner. Cooler, tsukete kudasai. Like, turn on the aircon, please. Yeah, recently I noticed like younger people are saying aircon, which of course is aircon. But I also hear a lot of people use the word cooler still, even the younger
Cooler.
ones too. I guess
Yeah,
it depends on
cooler.
like what your parents use and then that you end up using that. In my case, I was able to pick up really quick because they said tsukete kudasai. And I was like, if that was a cooler box, they wouldn't be saying like tsukete kudasai. You don't turn on a cooler box, right? So I was like, yeah, he's probably talking about the room or the thing that makes the room cooler. So cooler. Okay, so the next word that we have is talento or talent. Again, if I ask you what talent means, what comes to your mind?
talent, like some sort of skill that
Yeah, right.
one has.
But in Japan, it means a TV personality or a celebrity. This is actually used in English too on like legal documents. For example, if you make a contract with somebody, it's going to say the talent will do this and that. Yeah, so that's referring to the person who is going to be the talent for that situation. So they actually took the
Yeah.
correct word, but they took the word directly from the legal documents, which is not commonly used. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, so the next word is high touch. If I ask you, what does high touch mean as an American? What do you think? What comes to your mind?
As an American, high touch.
Yeah, like don't try to think of how a Japanese would
No,
interpret it.
I would be like, oh, what? What's a what? High touch? I don't get it. Like straightforward. You'd be like, high touch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
If somebody says high touch to me, like I would think like there's something really high and I should jump up and try to touch it.
Yeah.
So high touch, as you already know, means high five. I mean, it seems pretty basic. Like they just took the word touch because your hands will touch each other and then
Yeah.
you do it pretty high. So it's high touch. But
yeah,
the first time they said that to me, like most people when they say it, their hands are already getting ready to do it, right?
Yeah.
So like
already doing it.
The first time that happened to me, it was in Saipan, and they're like high touch, and I was like, I just looked at his hand or his or her hand, and I was like, and then like it's like I left them hanging, right? And I was like, they're like, oh, oh, come on. I was like, I'm not doing it on purpose. I don't know what you're talking about. Dude, the next word I have, I think we have to be a little bit careful because it's kind of especially controversial recently. The next word is new half. If I ask you, what comes to your mind when you hear the word new half? What comes to your mind?
No clue at all.
Nothing? New half.
No, I wouldn't. Nothing would be in my brain to be like, no. I wouldn't know any.
Yeah, even me, like nothing pops up in my head right away. If I spend like a minute thinking about it, I'm like, new half. Does half mean like a half caste, like somebody who's half Japanese?
Yeah.
Actually, new half means a transgender person. So somebody who let me explain the origin so that it's clear. But so the new half, it came up in the 1980s and it was popularized by a radio program in Osaka. And so they combined the word new, meaning you are a new person, and half, meaning you are half male and half female. So you newly became half male, half female, and you are a new half.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, so like transgender people have been around in Japan pretty much as long as they've been around everywhere else. And because of places like Nichome in Shinjuku, I would say like they're not really ridiculed or bullied or anything in Japan as far as I know. I haven't seen them be bullied before.
Not recently, but like the past 3-4 years, they're all been like starting to be like, be free, like show ourselves. You know what I mean? Because I guess that they've been there, but because Japan, right? Manners and respect, and that situation going on. So a lot of them hid it for a while, but now it's like the world it's changing, right? Everyone's becoming all flowery and stuff. I don't want to say the wrong term of what I'm trying to explain right now, but everyone's being flowery nowadays,
Yeah, the world's definitely becoming way more inclusive than it was before.
Yes, that's the word, inclusive.
Yeah. But from my experience, like even recently, like I've met teenagers who I was able to have a conversation with, and they opened up to me and said like, I wasn't sure if I was this or that, but when I suggested it to my parents, they threatened to disown me. And I was like, oh, okay. So from a societal perspective, yes, it's more inclusive, but within the family, there are still a lot of parents that like shun that. Like they don't like it. Yeah, so it's a shame. All right. So the next word, we're starting to get into the, actually it's not going to get more fun after this. It's just this one. But the next word is One Piece. if somebody tells me the word One Piece, this thing just starts playing in my head. Like, Kaki Atsume. I don't know if it's Kaki Atsume or Aki Atsume. One Piece. Okay, so that's what pops up in my head is the anime. And then I hear it so often, even now, people say One Piece, One Piece, One Piece, referring to
Okay, so let me explain. But yeah, One Piece means a skirt or a dress.
a one piece dress.
Is it a one like just a dress? Yeah.
Yeah. They call it a
Is that
one
right?
piece because it's a dress that is in one piece. So it's a one piece dress.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right.
So they just chose the
Yeah.
first half of it, One Piece. So we're going to get into the miscellaneous terms now. The first one is HOCHIKIS.
No bell at all.
Okay.
Ring no bell.
Yeah. You can ring my... Just a little bit.
Dude, I was gonna freaking say that. Dude, you just reminded me. I had that plan to say, I'm like, oh, by the way, I have a new term. Jasariru. I was gonna say. Have you heard that one? Jasariru. And you're gonna be like, oh, no, I never heard.
Just a little.
Jasariru. I'm gonna say that as a joke, man. Freak. That was in my head earlier. I was gonna say that as a joke. Freak, man.
Yeah, so HOCHIKIS. There is no word in the English language that I know of that can make an American person recognize what this could mean.
No.
Just because, I mean, the word kiss already makes me think they're saying like
Yeah.
has to do with something related to kissing. But HOCHIKIS is actually an English word. And I'll explain. It's an English word, but in Japan, it means stapler.
What?
So I was like, where did that come from? And why is it in katakana? Like, why is it not in like a Japanese word? So the origin of this word, HOCHIKIS, it's named after a person named E.H. Hotchkiss, the owner of the E.H. Hotchkiss company, which made staplers long time ago.
Wow.
So apparently that brand of staplers became so famous in Japan that they associated his name with the word stapler, HOCHIKIS, and say it in a Japanese way, HOCHIKIS.
HOCHIKIS. I would have no idea. Like, yo, Scotty, HOCHIKIS motte kite. What? Because I work in the office too, right? I mean, I'm in and out of the office, but I mean, like, HOCHIKIS. I never heard of that.
Yeah, this is like one of those ones where, like in America, like a name will become so famous that we just associate that thing with the name. For example, like Kleenex, for example.
Okay.
Of course, we have the word tissue, right? But a lot of people just use the word Kleenex.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, but since we're talking about this, do you know what hole puncher is in Japanese?
Oh, no. No, I don't.
Yeah, I actually like saying this for some reason. It like rolls off the tongue really nice.
Teach me.
Ana ake panchi.
Dude.
Ana ake
panchi.
Yeah. So this is combining Japanese and English together. So punch meaning puncher, right? Like hole puncher. And then ana ake means open a hole. This sounds like a power move from Luffy in One Piece, like Anake punch or something like that.
I would actually think it's like some kind of drink.
Bro, I'm gonna go to the store. You want some Anake punch?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next word we have is cunning or cunning.
Cunning.
Yes. Not sure?
No.
Okay, so of course the word cunning means like cleverness or like able to fool people easily or like very well. So if you think of the word cunning, you'll think of like a tiger or maybe not a cheetah, maybe like a leopard or a panther or something like that. Or maybe even a lion. But yeah, right?
No, I'm just kidding. Pink Panther.
In Japan, it means cheating, like on a test. Yeah, this one I actually learned because I was teaching. I used to have this brother and sister that were taking my lessons, and I was asking them a question, and I told them, do not look at your book. Just try your best to recall from what we were working on earlier. And then the sister, she starts like glancing at her book while looking away. So her eyes are pointing at the book, but her face is looking away. And then her brother yells out really loud, "Cunning, cunning." And I was like, what? Yeah, so the first thing that came to my head was like, what are you talking about? Like cunning, cunning. And then he pointed down to the book and he said in Japanese, like, she's looking at the book. And I was like, oh, so cunningu in Japanese means cheating. When I heard the student saying cunningu, I just couldn't stop thinking about that scene from Ace Ventura where he keeps going, Bumblebee tuna? Bumblebee tuna? I don't know why, man. It just kept popping up in my head. Bumblebee tuna?
Bumblebee tuna. Yeah.
So the next word we have is waishatsu or Y shirt.
White shirts.
Yeah, the first time I heard this, I was like, okay, do they call it a Y shirt because it's a shirt that looks like the shape of a Y? And then apparently, no, that's not what it is. So can you explain to the people what it means?
White shirts. Okay, so yeah, it took me a while to like realize what it was. I had to ask, but because when we get suits and stuff, we need a white shirts inside.
Yeah.
So yeah, and had to ask, but pretty much it means white shirt.
Yeah. So Y shatsu, exactly that. It's a white dress shirt. And the Y doesn't come from the letter Y. It comes from white, but they didn't include the T. Yeah. So the next word we have is sign. When I hear this word, when I heard it for the first time, I was like, sign like a stop sign or a sign from God? Like, what kind of sign are you talking about? In Japan, sign, they use it from when people say, please sign here, meaning give us your John Hancock, right? Your autograph. So to sign is you have to do it the John Hancock way. You don't print your name if they ask you to sign. If they say sign chodai, which means please give me your signature, they want your autograph. I actually learned that one sign chodai from a movie that was originally in English, but I saw somebody watching it in Japanese. And they're like, can I have your autograph? Can I have your autograph? But in Japanese, they're like, sign chodai, sign chodai. And I was like,
oh,
that's how you say, can I have your autograph? I guess the chodai one is when little kids say it. So the next word we have is, I think it's pretty funny just because it won't make sense to us, but it will make sense to British people. The next word is muffler or muffra.
Oh my God.
So if I hear the word muffler, I'm thinking like,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Those the ghetto cars you see inside.
Yep.
The jalopy.
One thing I can think of.
Yeah, anyways. Yeah, so to Japanese people, they follow the British meaning, which is scarf. It just means scarf.
That's from Britain? That's from Britain?
It's from the UK, yeah.
So you bring your muffler?
I actually don't know if they call it that still, like to this day, because
scarf. Wait,
yeah, a lot of the borrowed words that Japanese borrow are really old, so they might have been updated by now in England.
But let me see
in the UK.
What do you think sounds more like up to date? If I would be like, "Yo, Solomon, you got your scarf," or "Solomon, you got your muffler." What sounds more like? I think muffler sounds more like used. Scarf.
No, actually, I think I know the reason why. Because I used to work for Cartier and we sold scarves there. And they explained to us that there's actually two types of scarves. There might be more, but the ones that we were selling, there were only two types. A scarf, which is like a bandana shape where it's like a square. And then a muffler scarf, which is the really long ones that you wrap around your neck.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's like saying in Japan, they say pudding, right? Pudding. Yeah, so whenever I think of pudding, I think of Bill Cosby and that commercial that he used to be on a long time ago when we were kids. But in Japan, apparently pudding refers to custard. But custard is a type of pudding, right? So that's similar to the word muffler. If there's two types of scarves, one is a muffler scarf and the other one is like a scarf. Then you have pudding and you have custard pudding. I'm pretty sure there's other kinds of pudding, like the pudding that they eat in the UK that has like blood or something like that in it. I forgot what it's called. You know what I'm talking about? It's called pudding, but it's
No.
not a dessert. Like it's savory.
Damn, no, that sounds scary, dude.
So the last word we have for today's episode is revenge.
Revenge.
So if you think of revenge, you think of like John Wick is gonna kill that Russian guy because he killed his dog. So it's paying back the bad thing that somebody did to you and paying it back to them.
Yep.
But in Japan, the meaning of revenge means to try something again, especially after failing to get it done. So the origin is basically just somebody ended up choosing the wrong word. Basically. It's like revenge.
Wow.
Because it's kind of similar, right? Revenge, the real meaning of revenge meaning doing the same thing, but back to somebody who did it to you that was bad. Whereas their interpretation of it is doing the same thing that you failed to do the first time. So there's like a similarity, but they just made a small error.
True. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the situation when I first revenge. Revenge.
Yeah, in my case, it was the similar thing. It was actually my student that they didn't do well, or they didn't do as well as they were expecting to do on a test for the Japanese kids test called Eiken. They weren't sure how to say they were going to try again. So they just said, I want to revenge. And I was like, you want to revenge against who? And then that's it for today's episode. If you have any questions or if you have any stories that you'd like us to share, please let us know. And until then, excuse me, Masen, and see you.
See you.
Excuse me.